Hello and welcome to The Print. Counting of votes for the assembly elections in Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir has begun. Jammu and Kashmir, in fact, voted in an assembly election after 10 years. In fact, this was its first assembly election since 2014, first as a union territory, and first after the removal or abrogation of Article 370. As for Haryana, BJP is looking at a third consecutive term, while the Congress is also determined to make a comeback in the state after 10 years. Now, the electoral contest is very interesting. It is the first significant face off between two national parties since the Lok Sabha elections, and it could also set the political discourse for the several assembly elections that are set to come in the next few months. And as the counting proceeds in these states, of course, we'll keep you up to date with all the updates and all the breaking news on this counting day. So stay tuned with us. For this live, I have with me three colleagues of mine who've spent a significant amount of time in these elections, covering these elections. We have with me Neelam Pandey, who's in Srinagar right now. We have Saurav Roy Burman and Sushil Manak. All of them have kept a very close eye on these elections. To start with you, Neelam, you're in Srinagar right now. Tell us to start off with, why are these elections so significant in Jammu and Kashmir?
Hi, Apurva. Well, we are right now at the NC office in Radio Colony in Srinagar. We can see that obviously these are early trends, but so far NC has maintained quite a significant lead over the BJP, as exit poll has also maintained, though exit polls had pointed out that there is likely to be a hung assembly. Earlier in the day, Omar Abdullah, while speaking to the reporters, had also said that these are very early trends. He would not like to comment on these issues right now. As far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, where these are quite significant elections for the region. As you pointed out, these are the elections that are taking place after a gap of 10 years. These are also elections that are taking place after the abrogation of Article 370, something which both the political parties, PDP as well as NC, has maintained that if they are elected to power, they will ensure that it is brought back. Though this is something which is the domain of the center. At the same time, people also came out in large number, and many pointed out that for them voting in itself is an act of resistance and dissent, and hence we saw people queuing up outside the voting centers. Well, numbers are being counted. Counting is already underway, but things will become much clearer only after 9:30, 10, because currently largely the postal ballots were being counted. As far as these elections for NC, well, Omar Abdullah, who had lost the Lok Sabha elections, engineer Rashid defeated him from Baramulla. These elections are quite significant for him. He contested not from one but two seats, Ganderbal as well as Budgam, and he's right now currently leading from both the seats. These elections are also significant in terms of what impact the independent candidates will have, as we have been reporting that the Jamaat-e-Islami had fielded around 10 candidates at the same time. Awami Ittihad Party of Engineer Rashid had also fielded 34 candidates. So this is after 2008, we have had the highest number of independent candidates who contested these elections. So it will become clearer whether any party would require their support or not, or as NC has been pointing out, that they're quite clear that they will get a clear mandate. So this is right now the state of affairs in Kashmir, where people are eagerly awaiting what exactly is going to happen.
Right. Before I move on to Sushil ji, I would urge all of our viewers to maybe go check out the stories that all three of my colleagues have written surrounding these elections, because they do provide a lot of context on what's been happening there, why these elections are significant. Sushil ji, moving to you, if you can tell us why these Haryana elections are significant, and what have exit polls predicted so far?
So, uh, as of now,
Hmm.
early trends are available for 86 out of 90 seats.
Right.
Of these, Congress is leading on 61, BJP on 19, and Indian National Lokdal BSP combined on 2, and others on 4. So, I will say that these are on expected lines
Okay.
because the day of polling, we all
आपको
saw
इजाजत दिया
the
यार
various exit polls, and almost all the exit polls gave from 45 to 65 seats to the Congress, and between 20 to say 32 seats to the BJP.
Mm.
So BJP, basically BJP is in power in Haryana for 10 years now.
Right.
And when BJP lost 5 seats in Lok Sabha, it
Mm.
was almost a foregone conclusion that BJP will have to go in these elections.
Mm.
Uh, See, in 2014, when BJP came to power on its own in the country for the first time,
Mm.
out of 10 seats, parliamentary seats, BJP won 7. One Rohtak went to the Pendra Huda of the Congress and two to the INLD. But in 2019, partially because of the Palapot issue and largely because of the, I mean, INLD basically was, there was a split in the INLD between INLD and JJP. So that vote bank also shifted to BJP. And BJP was able to win all the 10 seats. But in 2024, they lost 5 seats. And out of these 5 seats, four were in the Jat heartland.
Mm.
So this time it was very clear that at least a large section of Jats, Dalits, and even the trading class, which includes Punjabis and Agrawals, they wanted a change. There were several reasons for that. So that's what we are basically saying. By now, the Congress is leading on 65 seats. So
Mm.
now these are very, very early trends, and mostly the postal ballots have been opened. But
Mm.
still, these are the trends till now.
Right. Thank you for that, Sushil ji. Just taking a leaf out of what Sushil ji said. Now, moving to you, Saurabh. What does it mean for Congress? Because change seems to be in the offing, at least if we look at exit polls or the if the Lok Sabha elections were a precedent. So, what does it mean for Congress?
Like, see, I mean, for any political party, all elections are important.
Mm.
Only the reasons are different from one election to another. For in this particular election, in case of Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, these round of elections is particularly important for the Congress because what happened 4 months ago in the Lok Sabha election, we have to remember Congress put up a better than expected performance. It got 99 seats. So this round of election will show whether the Congress is carrying momentum
Mm.
into the round of elections.
Mm.
And also the fact that Haryana is a heartland state. Now, Himachal Pradesh is the only state in North India that the Congress has under its belt. So, which is why it is important. And also the fact that Congress has not been in power in Haryana for a decade.
Right.
So, these factors, make it particularly important for the Congress.
Right. Moving on to the major issues that were raised in the elections, I'll start with you, Neelam. What are the sort of issues that you saw were gaining steam and that were attracting crowds during the elections?
Well, we did report from Kashmir earlier while campaigning was going on, and apart from abrogation of Article 370, which Kashmiris told me that it was linked to their identity. Apart from that obvious issue, there were
Hmm.
also issues related to unemployment.
Hmm.
Power also figured, electricity. Power also figured as a major issue in the region. So this is probably, I felt, the first time that apart from national issues or apart from issues related to the identities or identity of the Kashmiris, apart from that, usual issues of development also took precedence. So while in some constituency, I would say that the independent candidates whose rallies saw crowds thronging their rallies, that one particular reason for that was that these independent candidates were picking up issues which were related to the people, whether it was issues of development, whether it was related to unemployment, whether it was about the local problems that each of these constituencies were facing. But at the same time, the regional parties, the main players, ND, PDP, and NC, they concentrated on issues of identity politics. For instance, they maintained that issue of statehood, the abrogation of Article 370, the special status which Kashmir enjoyed. That is something they felt that they will do everything possible if elected to power. At the same time, I just wanted to point out, though, we are mentioning about the issue that were raised, that so far the electoral sphere is such that BJP leaders have also maintained that they are also in touch with the independent candidates. Well, it is not very clear how many of them will emerge victorious, but yesterday, after the news of Lieutenant Governor nominating five MLAs did the round. Many felt that this will be used by the BJP. This will be used as a ploy by the BJP to form the government in Kashmir. So we got a number of political reaction from NC to PDP that public mandate should be accepted by them. As you pointed out, Apurva, that these are elections that are taking place after a gap of 10 years. So a lot has changed within these 10 years. People did tell us that the security situation had improved, but they still wanted that, just like other cities enjoy educational institutions, they have greater employment opportunities. Such things should also be made possible in Kashmiri for an ordinary Kashmiri.
Right. Saurabh, you were in Jammu. What are the sort of issues that you saw being raised in Jammu or were of significance there for the voters?
See, Jammu is a vast region. The division of Jammu has around 43 assembly seats.
Hmm.
So I primarily traveled in the Jammu's urban seats, and
Hmm.
I also went to Rajouri area, and to Katra. So
Hmm.
if you look at the urban seats of Jammu, there are around 24 seats were completely urbanized. So the issues basically, issues like the economy, the state of the economy matters. Obviously, the impact of the abrogation of Article 370 has slightly fizzled by now, but it
Hmm.
still remains an issue because remember, Jammu is one region which actually celebrated the
Hmm.
fact that Article 370 was scrapped.
Hmm.
And Jammu division has been a stronghold of the BJP. It has been a stronghold of the BJP. And for example, if you talk about Jammu city, the fact that Darbar move, there was a time when the civil secretariat used to be shifted to Jammu during winter for 6 months. So that used to act as a boost for the economy of Jammu. So that move has not been happening for the last few years. So that has had an impact on Jammu's economy. The business class is not obviously happy with that. And if you move to the Vaishno Devi constituency, which is some 42 kilometers from Jammu, the issues are completely different there. There, the fact that there is a community called the Baridars who used to traditionally worship the Vaishno Devi deity. Now they have put up a candidate. They have put up an independent candidate, and there are the political observers feel that they might eat into the vote share of the BJP, at least in Vaishno Devi. On the other hand, if you move to the Rajouri Poonch area, so there, the fact that BJP gave reservation to the Pahadis, with
Hmm.
Pahadi community, apart from the Gujars. And so both Pahadi and Gujar Bakarwals right now enjoy ST status. And this is the first election in Jammu and Kashmir where there are 9 reserved seats for STs.
Hmm.
The battle is between, you know, parties. The parties are essentially trying to get Pahadi and Gujar votes
Hmm.
in that
Hmm.
region. So as
Right.
I said, Jammu is a vast region.
Hmm.
So there is
Right.
not one issue which has been dominating the whole discourse there.
Hmm. And Sushilji, what about Haryana? What were some of the major issues there that you saw being highlighted?
Purva, in Haryana, during these assembly elections, as well as when we went to the field for parliamentary election, there was one issue which was actually three in one.
Hmm.
So that was Kisan, Pahalwan, and Jawan.
Okay.
So this issue basically uh, affected the Jat community the most because Kisans come from Jat community, Pahalwans come from Jat community, and Jawans.
Hmm.
So how first we come to this Kisans. So we
Right.
saw farmers sitting on dharna
Hmm.
on the Delhi borders for nearly 13 months from 20 to 21. And now we see farmers sitting on Shambhu border near Ambala for the February now. So, so this farmers issue basically they want Swaminathan report to be implemented in toto.
Hmm.
And the biggest demand is the MSP. Now the government says that we have already given MSP on all 24 crops. But the question is, Swaminathan recommended MSP on C2 basis. So
Right.
C2 is comprehensive cost. But the MSP now being given is A2 plus FL system. So the difference between C2 and A2 plus FL system is in comprehensive cost,
Hmm.
you have the cost of labor, even if the family is working, that family labor will be counted. The input costs on seeds, fertilizers, water, electricity, and if you are your own land, what exactly is the rent on that land? That will also be included. And if the farmer is working on some other's land, that rent will also be counted. But in A2, which is actual cost, plus FL, they count only the actual costs. The money spent on seeds, the money spent on electricity, money spent on fertilizers, plus family labor. And they give 50% profit on this. In both cases, 50% profit is given. But the rent of the land is not counted in the present formula. Now, some people will say that the costs of land have increased so much, but that in some places the land is, say, 1 crore per acre. So the rent will be very high. So it is not possible to give a comprehensive cost formula. So these are the issues farmers are demanding. They demand that when Swaminathan Commission has recommended this, and the Congress had already accepted that report, why that is not being given. So similarly, this Jawan, so BJP government brought this Agniveer scheme instead of the usual recruitment to the army, in
Hmm.
which I mean we had many youths from Haryana going to armed forces. So that has now that was a job avenue for the Haryanvi youths, but now that's no more there. And the third one is this Pahalwan. So we saw Vinesh Fogart, Bajrang Punia, Sakshi Malik, and other Pahalwan sitting on Dharna demanding action, and no FIR was registered till the court intervened. So these are three in one issues. And then there are issues of unemployment. We saw that CMIE reports saying 37.4% unemployment in Haryana. Haryana was the highest unemployment in Haryana. Then caste dynamics. That of course is one major factor because
Right.
Jats have enjoyed power in Haryana for long. So for
Hmm.
the last 10 years, they are not in power. And
Right.
this time we saw during this Lok Sabha election that even Dalits were against BJP because of some uh, prominent BJP leaders said कि हमें संविधान बदलना है इसलिए हमें 400 से ज़्यादा सीटें चाहिए. So these were the major issues.
Thank you so much for that, Sushil ji. Just moving on to Neelam. Neelam, how do you see the BJP's predicted performance there, and who are the competitors in the fray? If you could tell us a bit about that.
Well, I'll take you back to August 20th. That is the day that the BJP announced Ram Madhav and Union Minister G. Kishan Reddy as the election in charges for Jammu and Kashmir. The appointment of Ram Madhav was quite significant because he had served as the general secretary in the national BJP from 2014 onwards. And he was looking after the Jammu and Kashmir and northeastern region. So the fact that BJP realized that it required, the nuanced approach of or his expertise shows us how, determined it was to ensure a victory in Jammu and Kashmir. At the same time, as Saurabh has been pointing out, well, Jammu is the region that the party is expecting to do better. It was hoping And these candidates were always termed as proxy candidates, the independent candidate. It was hoping to rely on these independent candidates to form the government if the need arises. In fact, Ravinder Rena, who's the state president of Jammu and Kashmir, had pointed out earlier in the day that they will get the required number of seats from Jammu region and from the valley. Independent candidates, they could look up to them. They could forge an alliance with them. Well, right now, it doesn't seem like going in that direction. But as I said, again, it is too early. We will have a clearer picture by 10 a.m. But these elections are significant for the BJP because abrogation of Article 370 is not something that they have been highlighting here alone in Kashmir, but this is an achievement that they've been showcasing across the country. This is something that they had mentioned in their manifesto, and in Lok Sabha elections also we saw that they highlighted it as one of their greatest achievements of the party as the government. So in a way this election becomes important for them because so far we saw right from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Union Home Minister Amit Shah, they campaigned in Jammu and Kashmir overall as a region, and they were expecting to do better than what the trends are indicating so far. It will also lead to the BJP going back to the drawing board and deciding how to move forward, because the Jammu region is something that they were quite sure of. How things will pan out in Jammu region will determine their future strategy.
Right. There have also been a lot of talk about the possibility of a hung house, if and that has been the speculation. So what are these possibilities if there is a hung house?
In case there is a possibility of a hung house, then there are, as I pointed out, independents, second largest number of independents who have contested the Jammu and Kashmir elections. We have 34 candidates from the Awami Ittihad party led by Engineer Rashid. We have 10 candidates supported by the Jamaat-e-Islami. Apart from these candidates, you have individual independent candidates who have contested the elections. You have smaller Apna party, you have Sajjad Loans party. So as far as independent candidates are concerned, if they do end up doing well, and if the BJP gets the required number in the Jammu region, definitely it will try to forge an alliance with these smaller players, something that NC and PDP, right from day one in the campaign, have been highlighting. They have, as I said, they had termed them as proxy BJP candidates. But so far, in the early trends, we do not see independent candidates doing as well as was being predicted.
Right. Just to remind our viewers once again, Neelam, Saurabh, and Sushil have written multiple articles covering these elections, some very in depth reporting on how these elections have been so far. So I'd urge all of you to please go check out our website and read all of their stories. Sushil, if we talk about campaigning now, PM Narendra Modi campaigning for his party was considered key to BJP's 2014 win in Haryana, as we saw. But now PM Modi has sort of taken a back seat. He took a back seat to local candidates. Uh, is that how you saw it, and what does it mean?
Uh, yes, rightly said. Only 2 days back, or 2, 3 days back, we read an article by our founder editor in chief, Mr. Shekhar Gupta, writing on the wall. So every time there is an election, it's Modi ki guarantee, it's Modi all the way. But this time, he pointed out in his stories that there is a small mugshot of Modi with Nadda, Khattar, and district level officials.
Hmm.
And it's important to mention here that just today there is a statement by uh, Naib Singh Saini that if we lose, I will be responsible for that. So immediately he has basically made it clear that this is not Narendra Modi's loss. This is uh, see, immediately after the Lok Sabha poll, I feel that the BJP had realized that there is no way they can win this election, and that's the
Right.
reason. That's the reason in the very first rally addressed by Amit Shah before the announcement of polls, he said this election will be contested under Naib Singh. It never happens in BJP. It never happened in the past. So I did a story that in 2014 assembly elections, Modi had just 10 rallies in Haryana. In 2019, uh, it was 6 rallies. So, but this time only 4. And again, even Manohar Lal Khattar, who was Chief Minister of Haryana for more than 9 years, he was CM for 9.5 years. He was also kept away from the campaign. He campaigned only in his own Karnal Lok Sabha constituency, which he represents as a MP. So basically, this election was contested under the local leadership and local also under Naib Sani and the state president Mohan Lal Badoli, who was appointed only after the parliamentary polls.
Right. Sushilji, another striking feature of this election has been how the BJP kept former Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar largely out of limelight as well during electioneering. If you could give a bit more context on that also, and why was this done?
See, this is very surprising that BJP is contesting this election on a slogan of no खर्ची no पर्ची कि हमारे राज में खर्ची और पर्ची नहीं चलती है, no recommendations and no money, no bribes for say recruitments and for other works. And credit for this goes to Manohar Lal Khattar only because he was the one who started all this. He brought digitization in governance, so people don't have to go anywhere. But at the same time, this very digitization led to a large scale corruption because when people have the access to their political leaders, they intervene. They basically, whenever there is a complaint about corruption at any bureaucratic level, they intervene. But once you say that this is all digital, so people were left to the mercy of say uh, clerks and tahsildars. I know many people who had to spend up to 50,000 for just their property ID. For family ID, they had to pay bribes to people. So the corruption was at the highest. And the credit for that also goes to Honor Lal Khattar. So during the past, say, I will say that after this COVID, before COVID, he used to address rallies in the, uh, I mean, across the districts. But after that, he basically was kept himself aloof. Even if he went to some Jan Samvads, there were complaints that he would misbehave with people, would ask them to leave. Even during election at Hisar, a youth said that कि आपकी सरकार तो आ जाएगी मगर आपका हिसार का कैंडिडेट तो हारेगा. So he asked the security person to, I mean, पकड़ लो इसको ले जाइए बाहर. So he basically had become unpopular, and that's the reason I suppose that the BJP chose to keep him away from the campaigning.
Right. Just one more question to Saurabh before we wrap up this live. Saurabh, we of course know that BJP is hoping to be a formidable force in Jammu. Could you tell us a little bit about the efforts there, and who are the other competitors who are still emerging in the fray despite it being a stronghold?
So in the urban seats of Jammu, the fight is essentially between the BJP and the Congress. That has been the case traditionally also. But if you
Right.
move away from Jammu, the urban areas of Jammu, you'll have parties like the NC, you have PDP as well, you have Ghulam Nabi Azad's DPAP, but which is not really, which did not really campaign. I mean, it was entirely missing from the campaign, although Ghulam Nabi Azad did campaign, but that aggression, that vigor was missing from that campaign.
Right.
That is a separate story. But in Jammu, you have Congress, you have the BJP, you have JKNC, you have PDP.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, Saurabh has, again, as I've been telling all of you, Saurabh has written a story on Ghulam Nabi Azad's campaign as well, and multiple other stories. As I've mentioned again before we wrap up this live, urging all of you to go check out our website, see all of our stories and video interviews that we've constantly put out to be covering these elections. And as I had promised at the start of this live, we will be bringing you constant updates on this counting day. So stay tuned and thank you so much for joining us.